So you want to build a van, you want to know what's the best foundation or the best body to build on. Well, let me give you, my experiences from what I found out when I was looking. Now, it's a perfect day for that. I'm down in the mountains. It's actually really cold outside. It's been quite windy and it's been really rainy and snowy. I'm down here doing some photography. In fact, I'll put a link up top here or down to the bottom on my photography if you want to go check out my photography YouTube channel. But I'm down here and I'm currently waiting for it to warm up a little bit. So I thought I would do a quick video to explain to you how I got to where I'm at. Now, before comments come out saying, well, this van's better than this van, this is my thought process. This is how I got into it. This is what I went through. So number one, the first van that I considered was a Volkswagen Vanagon. And the reason I considered a Volkswagen Vanagon is because my dad had a couple of them. And when he got sick, he actually told me to sell his last one that he had. And I could have got a really good price. And I just couldn't bring myself to it. Why? Reliability was number one. They're not a reliable vehicle. Even with the engine conversions on them, there's still issues. And number two is the pop top with that canvas around the top. It doesn't work well for me because I either have to have the top popped in 30 below weather so I can stand up, or in the windy weather, and I just don't like that. Just don't. The reason that I need the pop to be able to be up all the time or the van high enough is because I have a lung condition that I require standing for. And I have to be able to stand and stretch and cough. And so unless I pop the top on the Volkswagen, that just wasn't a game. So away that one went. The next one I looked at, and the next one I dreamt about for a long time, was the Sprinter. I love the Sprinter. I love the look of the Sprinter. I love everything about the Sprinter. The four-wheel drive capability. I loved everything about it. But I'm on a lot of forums. And one of the forums I'm on, or was on, was a Sprinter forum. And I got a lot of people commenting when I asked about the Sprinter that they're not reliable, that they're expensive, and that getting service is a nightmare. And I put that on the back burner. I just wasn't comfortable with it. Then at the same time, somebody approached me locally and they mentioned that I should consider getting an older Astro with either a raised roof or a pop top. Or I should look at, I think it was the Nissan had one that had just come out. Or I should look at, I think there was another, the mini Promaster, the Promaster City, I think it was called. So I looked into those, and they either weren't available locally, or they hadn't come out on the market yet, or they had too many issues. And the biggest issue for me was, like I mentioned earlier, I couldn't stand in it. Now, for the driving and everything, that was great. The other issue that I ran into, which was a big issue, is their ground clearance is horrible. And I don't take my van four-wheeling. I don't take it to extreme stuff. I don't do rock crawling. I think that's foolish in a van that's camperized. But I wanted something that could go in the snow. So the smaller ones, they went off the list really quick because of those two things. So then I ended up going back to thinking of the Sprinter again. At that time, in early 2017, there was no real good supply of Ford Transits and a limited supply of Promaster. So I didn't even consider those up to that point. But again, after considering the Sprinter for a while and actually driving 3 hours to Calgary to take a look at a Sprinter, I just couldn't do it. I just couldn't go and pull the trigger on buying it because of all the stuff I heard from other people. So I put it on hold for a little bit, and then I went and looked at the Econoline van, which is also similar to I think it's the Savannah. And I love the Econoline for so many reasons. There's so many benefits to that vehicle. But the biggest issue was, again, the roof. And another big issue was it was quite hard to come from the driver's seat to the front just because of the height and just because of the way it was laid out. And again, for me, my age, for my mobility, I wanted something that was easier. But I love the Econoline. I love the look of it. I love the conversions that were being done. I love the fact you could get a raised roof for them. So I looked into a raised roof for them. And then I found out that the one Canadian supplier that I could find in British Columbia wasn't sure they were going to carry them, wasn't sure how long they were going to carry them, how many they were going to carry. And I couldn't find another supplier in Canada. So that would have meant I would have had to buy the van and either ship it or drive it down to the States to have a raised roof put on it. And that just wasn't practical. It just wasn't. So then I ended up back to the Sprinter. Again, just couldn't do it. But at that time, the ProMasters and the Transits were really becoming popular. Now, locally in, well, southern Alberta, Canada, there was nothing. There was some ProMasters that were used. There was no new ProMasters, but I thought of the ProMaster. So I went, did a bunch of research on the ProMaster. I was actually contacted by somebody who's a service manager for a big courier company, and he said that the breakdown rate on them is insane. And he recommended I did not go with the ProMaster. Oh, shoot, I thought I'd found it. The other issue that I was told about was the rear axle. Because it's not actually a true axle, what ProMaster does is they have the tires, they have an axle, then it comes over, it drops down, and goes across. And it ruins your ground clearance. Big time ruins it. Now, at that time, you could not flip the axle. Later on, actually, I think just after I bought the Transit, people started doing axle flips on them, so you got better clearance. But between the reliability and between the low axle, I put that on the back burner. Went back again to consider the Sprinter. Yes, I know I don't learn very quickly. And I considered it. And then I started seeing some more Fords pop up. They were becoming more popular. I was seeing them, courier companies using them. I was seeing them around in the streets and stuff. And I thought that would probably be a good vehicle. So I took a look and I did a lot of research on it. And unfortunately, nothing was available in southern Alberta. After months of research, one of the dealers locally told me they could bring one in for me. But it was almost a year old. It had been out since 2016 introduction, or whatever you want to call it, of the 2017 model year. And what they wanted for it was crazy. So I did a bunch more research, and I actually found this van in the middle of British Columbia, Canada, sitting on a dealer's lot, and they were desperate to get rid of it. I says, really? And he says, we're desperate. So I did a whole pile of research. I didn't even drive one. I actually did open the door on one to look inside of one. I actually did measurements and stuff, but I didn't even get to drive one. I contacted the dealer again, and I said, I'll take it. They actually delivered it to me for $200 to Calgary. I took a bus up, got in my van. The first time I ever drove it at the bus depot, said goodbye to the guy who drove it. He was taking a bus to Edmonton, and I drove my van back. Do I like my van? I do. Is the Ford Transit going to be perfect for you? May not. But do your research, people. And as I mentioned in other videos, if you can in any way, shape, or form, get the newest van or a brand new van so you're not dealing with the rust and other issues that we have, especially around here in Canada. So until next time, I'm going to go outside and take some pictures and then come back here and get warm again. It's so nice having a van that has everything inside of it. I don't even have to leave the van to do 90% of the stuff that I do. Even if I want to shoot, I can shoot out the window. So have a great day. We'll talk to you next time. Bye-bye now.